Hey, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of a Stage of Epilepsy version of Frank About Health. It is currently live streaming on Thursday, September 12th. However, we are here also potentially waiting for an additional guest to join us who's actually coming in from South Africa, 6 hours ahead of time. But because of the nature of this show being about epilepsy and understanding the various stages of epilepsy, we wanted to coordinate it in a very controlled way because anything is possible when dealing with epileptic patients, including myself. Those of you who've seen the show before, I've actually dropped out during the middle of the show, but that would be because of Zoom, not because of a seizure. That all being said, we're actually going to take a narrative view of how living with epilepsy has a lot of pain elements to it, mental pain and physical pain, which we've discussed on many episodes of Frank About Health, especially with Jeff Dimitrak and the various stages we've uncovered. But we're going to have conversations with two special guests of Jeff's. One is with us right now, Kelly Falk, and the other one, we will remain nameless until she shows up, but they're both showing how they've been using their pain to live up their self-image, lift up their self-esteem, be warriors, and use their epilepsy as part of their strategy of having a decent, high quality of life. We will look at the pain elements because it is also, I mean, September is also Pain Awareness Month, but at the same time, we're going to show how we use the pain for the greater good. So let me first issue my disclaimer. All of the conversations you will hear today with myself, Jeff Dimitrak, Kelly Falk, and our other guest named Aaron are basically food for thought and not the views of TalkRadio.nyc or of Frank About Health or of stages of epilepsy. They are conversations with various individuals who all have been living their lives with epilepsy, myself included, and we're just looking at this stage of your self-esteem and self-image, which promises to be a good conversation from what I've already heard from Jeff about. So that being said, welcome, Kelly, and welcome back, Jeff. I know it's been about 3 months, I think, since our last show, but
Yeah, 3 months. Been a long time. Yeah.
I would like to just say I'm giving you the floor for segment one. Introduce Kelly. Let's go right to the meat of the issues that I know that you've been fighting for on your own with your platform. So, welcome back.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming. Perception and how epilepsy might distort our perception, or seizures in general might distort our how we perceive reality. And we sometimes society has made us all sensitive about what we say and or how we say things in a certain way, and so we don't always express our thoughts exactly how we are thinking them. And I believe the same thing goes for how beauty is perceived. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder, of course, but society definitely plays a part on what people perceive to be beautiful. When one of you go to a photographer, or do you have it in your mind of what you is beautiful, or what beautiful poses you, or what movements might be brilliantly choreographed or something like that. Yeah, so that's a just a question for you. Yeah, so
Okay,
Uh,
so
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, so Jeff, you're referring to perception as a way that one who lives with epilepsy goes through their own trauma and their own pain, that their perception shifts. Is that what you're basically saying?
yes, yeah, and I think when it comes to someone who is a model, or that is my first question. How it perceives how someone might think of themselves, think of how society is perceiving them as well. So, and do you have any thoughts on that, Kelly?
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, introduce Kelly. Yeah. Or Kelly, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yes. Introduce yourself, Kelly.
Well, my name is Kelly Falk, and I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 15, and I'm now 35, so going at it for 20 years, which in some ways is discouraging that this is still a thing for me, that I'm not, haven't found the end-all, get-all solution, but also feel like I've become a stronger woman because of it. When you deal with all of this, epilepsy that is not well controlled, you definitely learn to be strong, to keep powering on, and to live your best life. And I feel like some days it's easier than others, that's for sure. But this is where I am. And as far as the perception of beauty, I think in one way it's tough because I look like an average normal person. And so people don't necessarily understand that there's a lot more going on below the surface inside of my brain, and things that are really challenging to deal with. And as far as being a model, I've also been on sets before and had seizures, and it can be really, really discouraging. And I say I'm not ashamed of my epilepsy, but at the same time, to be on a job and have to put everything on hold until my seizure is over, until I am recovered and able to press on, it's not a good feeling. And generally, though, I have found that people care. They would much rather be good, be helpful, and make sure that I am okay. And it's a really positive way to see our world and people, and just appreciate that I can count on others to help me out.
Awesome. So then,
Yeah, I mean,
saying,
you say that seizures have made you stronger, and really, epilepsy is an illness that comes with a lot of weakness. You feel tired and weak all the time. So, when you have to go to some of these things, that you do you sometimes feel like you need to portray a sense of strength, and maybe you'll feel like you maybe a persona that you don't aren't feeling at the time?
In all honesty, I am very straightforward with people who I'm working with. I let everybody know ahead of time, hey, I have epilepsy, something could happen. If you are uncomfortable with that, I understand. Because for me to be on a set, be working with somebody, to be doing that sort of stuff, I would much rather just have everybody know that having a seizure is a possibility.
yes.
But on the other hand, yes, I like to come across as a strong person, as somebody who is there and will work just as hard as anybody else to accomplish the goals of the day, to make sure that things go well. Sometimes things don't go well and seizures happen, but for the most part, it is my goal to be a strong person. And I think I am a strong person, to be able to deal with those things, to get back up, to keep going. And yeah, it's just a part of who I am these days. But I'm a strong woman who sometimes has some issues.
Understood. So, I mean, basically,
Well, and I know another person with epilepsy, and they say that the people that they know with epilepsy are some of the strongest people they know, because really living with this illness for a long time and having seizures, it just makes you strong. Just having injuries and recovering from those injuries, having to heal, all the time. There is a resilience that comes with it. Yeah.
I mean, I can see now clearly what he was talking about in the beginning of the show with respect to pain and perception, because you're also talking about you're on a job, you're being a model, you're on sets, and then there's the humiliation you feel when you're having a seizure in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself starts to not create hurt or pain, but it creates lower self-esteem. You feel embarrassed, you feel a little bit of loss of confidence, and you probably then take other roles or other job opportunities with a little trepidation. That would be safe to say?
Sure. Yeah, I think, and every job is different. I've certainly had to turn down jobs because I can't get there. I don't drive. If things are too far away, if it's just doesn't have the access and I don't have the people to help me out to get there, that happens sometimes. And but yeah, like sometimes there is just like, oh my gosh, I really, really hope I can get through this without there being a problem. And sometimes it's, stress can cause seizures. And so there is finding that balance of confidence and trying not to let the anxiety, the paranoia take over. But yeah, it's certainly finding a balance, letting people know what is necessary for them to know, but also, being strong, coming across as strong, and hoping for the best.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
and I mentioned about the paranoia because really I talk about anticipatory anxiety all the time, and really, I think that affects your confidence. So when you're thinking about when I'm going to have that next seizure, it's hard not to be paranoid about, what is my environment like? What is is it a safe environment? Am I safe here? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay, no, I mean what I'm interested also is that when you first developed epilepsy at 16, when did you become a model? Before your first seizure or afterwards?
Um, right around the same time. So I was 15, and I had either just gotten into it or gotten into it a little bit later. One of the hard things for me is that I have a lot of memory loss because of my epilepsy. And so even looking back 20 years ago can be really challenging. A lot of my memories that I have are not actual memories. They are what people have told me has happened. And so I remember what they told me, but I don't actually remember those events for myself. But it was
Wow.
around the same time. And
I can relate to that. 80% of people with epilepsy can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's
Go on.
challenging.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
That's right.
Well, we're about to take our first break, but I did want to say, Kelly, that I think that in our second section, I want to hear more about how you obviously dealt with the embarrassment and the pain, even the physical pain from your seizures,
Mm-hmm.
and turned yourself into a warrior. I think that's now going to be the positive spin in how you've enhanced your self-image. I gather from what I saw on your website and the artwork you've done, you definitely have a different frame of reference in terms of your epilepsy now, 20 years later, versus when it first happened, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, life changes for everybody. And I think people with epilepsy and other health conditions, we find a way to make our lives fulfilling and amazing in spite of the stuff that we deal with.
So everybody, please stay tuned as we're being frank about self-image right here on the Stage of Epilepsy version of Frank About Health on TalkRadio.nyc and on our social media platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitch. We'll be back in a few.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Now, before we started the show, you actually started to talk about a procedure that you had. Do you want to share that and then pivot the conversation towards how you've been able to live your life with your seizure disorder and the procedure and the effects of the procedure, in addition to become more successful at what you do as an artist and a model?
Sure, yeah. So I guess it was in 2022 that I had brain surgery. Well, I had an intracranial EEG first, a couple months before the main surgery. I mean, they are all surgeries. When you are opening up somebody's head and putting wires deep in their brain, they're all surgeries. And so it can be a little bit scary.
Right.
So after my intracranial EEG, they decided that that I could choose to have what is called a responsive neurostimulator placed in my brain with some wires going deep down into the brain itself to help recognize abnormal brain activity, to stimulate my brain, and to try to stop the seizures from happening before they really started. And
Right.
So that is what I did. I had that surgery over 2 years ago now. It took a while to see any changes or anything really happening, but ultimately I have been in November, I will have been 2 years grand mal seizure free, which is a big
Right.
improvement for me. Not to say that things are perfect, because I still have simple and complex partial seizures pretty frequently, but have made that big step in my epilepsy life has
Right.
been amazing.
The simple and complex partials, though, you're conscious throughout most of them, correct?
So yes, with the simple partial seizures, I'm totally conscious. I know what's going on. I might not be able to talk clearly or even find the magnet that I use to swipe over my device
Yes.
to mark the spot when the seizure happens. But the complex partial seizures, the definition of consciousness is kind of vague because I'm not there. I haven't passed out. I haven't necessarily fallen over, but I'm no longer there. If somebody were to try to talk to me, I wouldn't be able to respond. Sometimes I make strange noises. Sometimes I scream, which if you're out in public, that's definitely something that's embarrassing and hard to handle. But thankfully, I'm not the one dealing with it in the moment because, like I said, I'm not there. Which makes it
No.
also a little bit more dangerous.
No, I understand. But by the same token, do you want to give a shout out to the name of your surgeon or hospital system you used? And I gather it was relatively successful for you to have been removed from grand mal seizure activity, correct?
Sure, yeah. So everybody who I see and who has been part of this process is through the University of Virginia. I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it's really they've been good to me. It's nice too. I live just a mile away from the hospital. So when I have appointments, it's easy for me to walk there. For a long time, I was anti-hospital, anti-doctors, everything, because it was a frustrating thing. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that these people are here to help me, and they've done a good job. It's, not perfect because I'm not seizure free, but I've made it further than I really ever thought that I would be able to.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, congratulations. And now I see we have been joined by Erin Bailey, who you're at almost 10:30 p.m. your time, correct?
Erin, can you hear us?
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, she's actually in South Africa, so we may have.
Hello.
Oh,
Yes, I can hear you guys.
oh, great, great. So nice to
Yes,
meet
my
you.
time is ahead of time for you guys, but thanks for considering me. I was just had a problem with connecting and etc., but I'm here now. I didn't
Yes.
forget, and yes, my time is very hectic than your time, but thanks for considering me. I appreciate it dearly.
Oh, you're very welcome. I was interested to know pretty much what we've just been discussing with Kelly about her history with epilepsy and seizures and how she was able to turn the embarrassment or the physical or the traumatic pain into her superpower and become a successful artist and model. And I've seen pictures of you involved in pageants. So I'd like to know exactly how you probably have a similar story in terms of how your epilepsy has affected you, whether it's emotionally or physically, and how you've been able to use it to your advantage. Do you want to take the
Okay.
time to share?
Yes,
Hmm.
I will do so. Like for me is I was 12 years old when I was diagnosed with epilepsy. I was still a child, and my mom didn't know what it was before because I used to fall and etc. And so she said, no, it's not normal because I was in a deep sleep. Wake up and I don't know how it was because I was in a sleep. And so she took me to the doctor, did an MRI scan, and they said it's epilepsy. So I have been living with this since I was 12 years old. And
Wait,
so
did you say 12? 12
12
years
years
old?
old, I was diagnosed. Yes.
Okay. Well, that
And
So
sounds
it
like
so,
sounds
nocturnal
like you were
seizures.
having nocturnal seizures.
yes, I
In-
do.
Okay. And so, but at this point, you're no longer having the seizures while you're sleeping because you now have them under control with medication or some other procedure. I know Kelly was talking about a brain surgery she had. Do you have something
Like
similar?
like for me, like mine come in different stages. Number one, sometimes I'll fall on the floor, then my leg will get lame, the left leg. Like the doctor said, is also part of a seizure. When I can't get up, then somebody must help me up. I sometimes get that, but not like it was before because I also made my medication list. Like they tell me I must take 800 gram a day. I break it in half. So I've been taking less medication, but I do take it every day. I can't skip, but I do that. And my glands used to swell up a lot, and
Yes.
it came out nicely.
Wow. Wow. So what medications do you take to control your seizure activity?
My medication is I can't say this name. It's with a it's with a L. The medication. It's a weird name. So,
The
yes.
Veridicidum.
Levetiracetam?
Yes.
That's
That's my
Keppra.
tablets. I can't say
Keppra.
the name.
I
I
take
was
that too.
okay. I was first on the Epilim, and so they put me
Was
this
that
on last
Kepler
year.
there? Or? Oh,
No,
okay.
the generic Keppra, levetiracetam.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and Kelly,
Yeah,
you
who
also
can
still
pronounce
take
that? Yeah.
medications?
I do. I take several medications. I'm currently on Briviact, which is a cousin to Keppra because Keppra used to work for me. Um, I'm on Vimpat and what is the name of the other one? One more. This is part of the process that
Lamictal, lamotrigine.
I've been on all of those. I've been on about 30 different medications trying to
Excopiary?
get things under control. Aptium is the other one. So I'm on those three currently. And
Okay.
Aptium definitely helped get some of my complex partial seizures under control. I have seen a decrease in those numbers when I started taking that in 2019. But yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
how have your experiences with Vimpat been?
I don't know that Vimpat's doing anything. It's one of those medications that I'm currently on. Not sure that it's helping, but a little too afraid to just go off of it. Especially,
okay. Yeah,
so,
I mean, you don't just go off of it, but it's
yeah.
that you want to find a replacement, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, since I'm on 3, it's possible that I could start decreasing, but I am a little bit afraid if I go off of something that I could start having grand mal seizures again. And I actually have wonderful thing that happened to me when I became grand mal seizure free. I was able to have surgery on both of my shoulders because one of the things that happened to me because of my grand mal seizures is that I started dislocating my shoulders over and over and over again because of the seizures, and they got to be so loose that they would dislocate when I rolled over in bed, when I went to tie my shoes. And once I became grand mal seizure free, I was able to have surgery on my shoulders just this past year and December of last year. So they are fixed, and I am able to do things like kayaking and fun stuff that I never ever thought that I would be able to do again because of my shoulders. So afraid of having.
And I can relate to that. Actually, I have dislocated both my shoulders. I've broken one of my shoulders, and I've had a surgery on both of my shoulders. So I can relate to that. A lot of people with seizures, they end up having surgeries on their shoulders. So
no, totally. It's hard to have one problem, like the epilepsy itself is enough, but then other stuff happens because of the seizures.
Comorbidities.
Things go downhill.
So Erin, what kind of circumstances have you faced? Did you have any fractures or dislocations similar to what Kelly and Jeff were talking about, or have you been able to keep yourself physically contained?
Like for me, number one, I used to suffer a lot of depression. That's my thing. And since I also been doing modeling now, it's a new chapter for me. So it's been helping me a lot. So I model for Ice Durban International. And since I've been doing this, I love my photo shoots. It's been helping me a lot. But sometimes I have my moments. But since I've been doing something what I want to do, and it keeps me busy.
Very nice. Now, I guess, are you doing that in South Africa, or are you available on the internet? Are you global yet?
No,
or have you...
I'm doing it in South Africa. It's a school, it's a lady that trains us, and we are going to a national conference in October. So it's international competition days. I'm in a lot of training now at the moment, and I'm enjoying it. It's a bit hectic, but I'm pulling through every day.
Impressive. So either way, I'm seeing from both you, Kelly, and you, Erin, that once you did activate change, in your case, it was the brain surgery, Kelly, and in your case, you've been able to get things analyzed in terms of how your seizures were starting, and you started taking the levetiracetam / Keppra. But you then said, okay, enough with the, in your case, depression, or in your case, fracturing practically your shoulders and stuff. Now I'm going to make this into a talent. And so that's your way of fighting whatever emotional pain that you were experiencing as a result of living with the seizure disorder, or even being post-operative. I'm sure, Kelly, that may have had some impact as well. So when we return, because we're about to take another break, I want to hear about you, Kelly, and you, Erin, and what your careers are doing for you right now. I want to hear about your modeling, your artwork, your school, and just show everyone out there that in this stage of epilepsy, that obviously there is a lot of pain. How do you to teach the viewers and listeners out there how you turn that pain into strength? All right. So stay tuned, everybody, right here on Frank About Health, on TalkRadio.nyc, and on our socials. We'll be back in a few.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on TalkRadio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Segment 3 is about seizures and confidence. Now, as we've already spoken with Jeff over the past year and a half, he has a book out there about psychotic breaks. Obviously, that does deteriorate confidence. I have talked about a lot of burdens that I go through while living with epilepsy that have made me go through burnout. We heard about Kelly talking about how during seizure activity, she would be dislocating her shoulders. Erin has mentioned that she was dealing with depression. However, each of us has found a way to turn our comorbidity from living with epilepsy in a confident way into a superpower. And so I want to spend this time right now that during segment 3, hearing about Erin and Kelly's challenge to turn their seizure history into a confident path. So let's start with you, Erin, and then wrap up with Kelly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've been joining this modeling school in January, I found myself what can I do to keep me busy with? Because with the depression, I used to suffer a lot, anxiety, but I don't have it. I have my moments, but since I've been reading the Bible and doing modeling now that I've been taking, I sometimes forget that I used to cry a lot every day for no reason because my friends are busy, nobody have time for me. Then my mom was the only one that had time for me and my grandmothers. But sometimes you also need people in your own age group to keep you busy with.
Right.
And I made friends at the modeling, but not friends, acquaintances that I can speak with. And my coach is a very nice person. And the shoots keeps me busy, and I just love doing what I want to do because I always wanted to do modeling. And people used to say, no, you can't do it. You're chubby, because I'm not thin, I'm a chubby person. And in this world, they say anybody can do anything. It doesn't matter if you have a disability, you can do anything.
That's right. That's right. I mean, basically what you do is you look at, okay, you've got a condition that is disabling you from living life like what they consider the norm, but you use it to your advantage, that you actually differentiate yourself and you can stand out and really create influence to others that may be looking for direction, especially in the path that you're doing. And then Kelly, with your artwork and your website, and what was the pivot point for you in how you took your emotional insecurities with epilepsy and the surgery and everything and just decided to really commit to being your best artistic self?
So when it was probably maybe 20 or 21, when I had to stop working, I had to stop driving, things really went downhill for me. And so I am technically disabled. My epilepsy keeps me from working a regular job.
All
and
right.
I ultimately started painting. Sorry, what was that?
Sorry.
Oh, anyway,
okay.
so I started painting. It was, it was something that just kind of gave me something to look forward to, something to do, to spend my time, and something that I realized that, hey, I'm okay at this. This doesn't have to be my full-time job. This doesn't have to be a career necessarily, but it gives me a purpose. And that's what I've been doing. I love painting, so I create beautiful things, and it really, filled a space for me that needed filling when I wasn't working, when what I was able to do was really restricted and limited. And yeah, it came at the right time for me, really, when I needed something.
What was the
And when you're
predominant thing?
painting, do you get that? Sorry, Frank.
Oh, go ahead.
When you have seizures, does your inspiration come before or after some of your seizures for your artwork? Or?
Not necessarily. You know, and the frustrating thing is that if I have a seizure while I'm painting, I at least have to stop momentarily. Sometimes I cannot keep going. It's like, okay, that really hit me hard. It's time for a nap instead. And so, you know, it changes day to day. Sometimes I wait it out. Okay, I'm done. I'm really excited to get back to my painting. But I wouldn't say that necessarily that a seizure inspires the painting or that anything along those lines. It's, you know, certainly feel determined to power on, to keep creating and to keep doing. So there's that.
TV upset?
Okay. So Kelly, can you tell me what came first, the modeling or the painting?
The modeling. Yeah, you know, I started painting, I think after the seizures for sure, and after I became disabled. But it was something that really that I needed to fill my time and to give me a purpose in my life. You know, it was just challenging to be disabled, not have anything to do. There's guilt there when you're not working a full-time job and actually having a normal income. And so when I was able to start painting, when I discovered that as part of my life, it definitely filled a hole that just the epilepsy.
And what about the smells of the paint?
Continues to leave.
Is that a trigger at all? The smells of the paints?
No, I don't have any trouble with that, thankfully.
Which one is deriving income for you now? That is your job, or you're not working for anyone else right now based on your disability, but which has been your driver for your income, your life? Has it been the website and the artwork, or has it been the modeling, or an equal mix of both?
Well, in all honesty, I get a disability payment every month, and that is the main thing that gets me by. But you know, when I sell a painting, it's amazing. It brings a little more income. Same thing with modeling. You know, to have those bits of extra are really fulfilling and helpful for my self-esteem, because accepting a disability payment every month is hard. Like, everybody wants to feel independent and like they can make their own way in this world, and at the same time just accepting things that the way they are, not feeling guilty. I mean, like I spoke about earlier, like I look very much like your average person. You don't look at me and think, oh, wow, like I feel so sorry for her. She's disabled and she should absolutely take the money that she's given and live off of it. And so being able to do some other things like painting and modeling when the jobs come around, like it can be helpful and fulfilling for self-esteem. That's for sure.
So you're really owning your talent to keep yourself confident, even with some of the limitations that you face as what they say, a disabled person. And you're right, you don't look the traditional disabled, but I myself collect a disability check, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But the way that I keep myself focused is this very show. This show really was going to be called 3.5 years ago, Frank About Epilepsy. But because of COVID and the rest of the gamut of health crises that we all go through, it's become a platform for various healthcare issues, although I've been leaning on the mental health aspect. So what Erin was saying about her depression, that could be a real impact in terms of what people living with epilepsy end up going through. You know, their mental health becomes the real driver of how they cope or how they actually seek the positive out of what they're coping with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so overall, Jeff, I think you've done the same thing. I mean, I know the last time we spoke, you had already been talking about setting up another book. Are you actually in the process of writing another book?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on it, but it takes time, and I want to get it right. Some of the details of it, and it's going to be very different than my last book. So there's a lot of things that I want to get different from my last book. So, and a lot of things I want to focus on more like family dynamics and epilepsy. So maybe I have to be a little bit tactful with that, so it could take a little bit more time than I wanted. So.
Well, I do understand how family dynamics can sometimes either stall your plans or delay them. They eventually come out, but they come out later than you expected. But I understand that. That's why I can identify with what you were saying. I guess of the three of you, I mean, even though Erin and Kelly, you are both the role models of what it's like to turn your epilepsy into a path towards confidence. But what would you say is like your plans between now and the end of the year to realize some of that vision to be much more, what's the right word? Much more profitable, much more productive for you?
Well, that's an interesting question. You know, for me, it's just to keep powering on. So when I started this drug Briviact not that long ago, I went 43 days seizure free and was super excited. I was like already making plans to buy a car, to go to school, to become a massage therapist. Those are my ultimate goals. And then, you know, a lot of times the epilepsy says, "Nuh-uh, not letting you go there yet." And so really for me, a lot of times it is just day to day, like, let me just make it through, enjoy the seizure-free days, and, you know, keep powering through. There's certainly days where I break down, where I cry, where I need family and friends to say, hey, look how far you've come. Like,
keep the support system active.
Yes, it's like I've done things like the shoulder surgeries and, you know, kayaking a new river. Like I never thought that was possible, but I've had really great support from my boyfriend, from my mom, from my family, just saying, hey, you're strong. You can do this. Just keep powering on.
Exactly. And so, Erin, how do you keep yourself powering on towards the end of the year? What are some of your goals that you are looking to accomplish?
Okay, for me, number one is I would love to drive a car. I can't drive yet, and I would love to get my license. That's the main goal. And if for me is, since I've been joining the modeling school, is I see myself in the next 5 years maybe as Miss SA or a model in magazines or etc. That's now my goal. And I did a hospitals modeling in Wynberg, Primtech, in South Africa, the international. I model in the hospital way, and it was lovely. And that's me. And I'm also a beauty therapist that I am doing part-time. That's my full-time job, doing feet and nails before I started modeling. So.
Oh, okay. Any plans to do modeling in Europe or even in the United States? Or
yes, I would love to go overseas. Yes,
perfect.
That's my main goals. If people want me, I'll do that. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're about to take our final break, but when we return, let's find out how people can get a hold of both of you through social media or your website or emails and stuff like that. And I guess we'll just also promote everything else that's going to be happening on Frank About Health, as well as on Stages of Epilepsy. All right, we'll be back in a few.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on TalkRadio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. Throughout the last 45 minutes, you've had a chance to meet Kelly Falk and Erin Bailey, two individuals both suffering or living life with epilepsy. We're not suffering from it. We're learning how to fight the urge to go into the depressed zone and feel like that life is over, and everyone just gives you the spiral of negativity. Trust me, I've been there, and I don't subscribe to that anymore. What I am happy to hear are both how Kelly and Erin have made it into their strength towards their vision towards living a normal life. You heard words from Kelly like just powering on, and you've heard from Erin about how if anybody wants me, I am there. So that includes her modeling, whether it's in South Africa or in Europe or maybe the United States one day. Either way, the lesson learned in this particular episode is that whatever your disability is, and we've talked about others, we've talked about Down syndrome, we've talked about autism, we've talked about different types of neurological and mental health disorders, but epilepsy, obviously, very much a mainstay for me. The one aspect to understand is that the pain is more mental than physical. And is the challenge of those living with epilepsy not to be worried about the seizures, especially if you have them under control with medication or treatment, or like in Kelly's case, some surgery. And you mentioned some neurological device that you place over your head. She is in control of her disability. The way that you have to manage all of your expectations is that you might not be able to live the full potential that those not suffering with epilepsy have to deal with or contend with, but you can actually do things a little better by finding out those things that really grab you and motivate you and keep you focused so that you can have a positive outlook while living with epilepsy. Kelly's talked about how her artwork has been very motivational for her while still collecting a check. I have mentioned for the last 3.5 years that I also collect a check, but I have also been doing now 124 episodes of Frank About Health. And then Jeff himself has been powering on with his Instagram following on stages of epilepsy, doing walks, doing kinds of exhibits and book promotions and other kinds of things with the various guests that we've had here on the show. And we're going to see more of Erin in the coming months, maybe even years, as she continues to learn her lessons from the school that she's in right now and become as successful as a model that she can be. The point of the matter is that don't give in to the depression. Don't give in to the anxiety. Remember to take your medication if you need to, but always look for the positive door or the positive light that your epilepsy is leading you towards. If you always worry about what you don't have versus what the others do, you will never get out of that cycle. Therefore, I have always said is on my show, and you've heard it on my commercials, you are your own best advocate when you are living life with epilepsy. You have the ability to see things that a lot of other people with typical conditions don't exactly see unless they have the guidance of a medical professional. So being your own advocate to have the best quality of life possible is the big takeaway from this particular episode of Frank About Health. So that all being said, I want to know, starting with you, Kelly, how can people reach out to you so they can learn more about your artwork? They can learn more about where you're modeling or where you can be seen modeling or anything else you'd like to share.
So as an artist, I do have a website, and I can say it now. I wrote it down so that it would be easy for me. It's Kelly Falk, KELLYFALK wixsite, wixsite.com/artist. And so that's where you can see all of my work, the things I've been working on for a very long time now. And I also can be seen on Instagram if you're interested. It's kelly.marie.falk. And so I've got all my art there. When I'm doing modeling, I post some things on there as well. And I'm always, always, always open to talking about my epilepsy. It's not something I'm ashamed of. If there's somebody who needs someone, to talk to, I do that. I would much rather be honest, open, and helping other people in a similar condition, because sometimes that is, what helps, is talking to somebody who actually understands, somebody who has been there, somebody who gets it. So please reach out if you need somebody, or just to say hi and check out some art.
Exactly. And you, Jeff, how would you like to add to that? Because I've seen all your stuff on Instagram as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share about how you keep yourself an advocate?
Well, I think it's so important that people find a way to improve their self-esteem, improve their confidence, and once you get into that mentality, then you are lifted up into a different realm of maybe overcoming. I would say you're coping with emotions that are left over from past seizures, negative emotions, and you're not as sensitive to those negative emotions that were maybe were from seizures, old seizures. So.
And then I guess you, Aaron, other than what you've already said in the last segment, is there anything you're working on right now that you want to give a hint to everybody to look out for?
Okay. For me, I am Miss Western Province, Western Cape now, so I would like people to vote for me. It only costs R1. It's on my Instagram page. You can ask Jeff. You can follow me there on Insta. He's following me, and it costs R1. The packet details is there because our pageant thing is now going to be in November. Then the best with the most votes will be crowned. Like I do my community work, and I give people that doesn't have food as part of my community work. So I would like people can vote for me. I'm a Western Province now.
So people can see your pageant work online and vote for you so you can win?
Yeah.
All right. Can you spell out or type in the chat box the actual website? I'll even say it out loud for everyone so they can vote for you. And in the meantime, I guess everyone should just know that I'm still working on that project with TalkRadio.nyc and with Schulman Media that is about to be released in several weeks. And it's pretty much showing how that Frank About Health is an advocacy platform for a lot of people, not just those living with epilepsy, but definitely anything related to mental and other kinds of physical health problems. Erin has told me Mr. and Mrs. Western Cape. I guess that's the pageant that she's in. Let me see exactly. Is there... All right. Is that the Instagram handle?
I'm now going to press it in.
Mr. and Mrs. Western Cape is what they search on Google, and then they find the website to vote for you?
No, it's on my Instagram page. I'm now going to type my Instagram page name, then you can find it there.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So either way, all of us here are continuing to fight through our challenges with epilepsy while at the same time making the best lives that we can for ourselves. The whole focus of this episode was to show how you can improve your self-image by looking at it again as your weapon or as your gift that you would be able to then turn into a productive or profitable motive. Oh, so Aaron Ray Bailey 2 is the Instagram handle where you can vote for her and her pageant.
On my Instagram page is the Miss Western Cape photo of me, and the banking details is there, and the code is there to like the code is to represent my name. You put that code in, and then they will know it's for me.
So, by the way, is your accent Afrikaans. Is that what you speak?
No, I am English, but my
English.
granny is Afrikaans. My mom is English. So we vice
Oh,
versa.
so you have both Afrikaans and English.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well,
But my mom is English, but grandmother is Afrikaans completely.
interesting. Well, you're representing the international segment of this show because for you it is almost I think 11 o'clock
Almost
or
11 o'clock for us, yes. And by you now, what time is it for you guys?
yeah, I mean
Well, thank
right
you for
now.
coming on so late, Aaron. I really
Yes.
appreciate it.
Fine. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for including me. I had a problem with my network and we had load shedding. That's why I came on so late. So I told myself, no, I don't want to miss this talk. But don't, and if you ever talk again, always let me know. I'm always here to join. Whatever it takes, it will mean a lot to me. If you want to talk again, you can always invite me. I will come on.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, this week's slate of shows, I really can't even think of them out loud right now because according to our engineer Logan Pethel out there, we're adding shows to the network in the coming weeks. So I just want to say to everybody that stay tuned for at least tomorrow's slate of shows, which are Stephen Fry's Always Friday, beginning in the morning with Philanthropy in Focus and Tommy D. And then after next Thursday, after next Thursday's episodes of the Conscious Consultant Hour. And then go ahead, Logan, tell me the name of that show that's afterwards so I can say it correctly. There'll be another episode of Frank About Health. And the one before me is Mind, Body, Health, and Politics. So thank you, Kelly and Aaron, all the way out in South Africa. And of course, to you, Jeff, for being on this episode of Frank About Health. I will be able to have this again. If you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, please answer questions or ask questions that you want either one of us to answer for you. And we'll just be back next week. So everybody, thanks for being here, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Keep powering on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Keep
powering
well.
on.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.